Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Yesshift. I'm Steven, the son, and my dad, Dan. We're trying to figure out where he's at. I don't know if he might have gotten busy with something, but in the meantime, we'll keep on running. And if he pops on in, he'll join the convo. But joining the show once again, it is Miguel Falcão, also known as Miguel Bass, and we are looking back at Play for Chris 11. So how are you doing, Miguel?
Fine, thanks, Stephen. It's a pleasure to be with you and hopefully with Dan.
Yeah.
Once again, thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, for sure. So last time we had you on was before the video was made and you were still taking in submissions, and now the video is out, it's over on YouTube, and it came out to be 45 minutes. So what was sort of different for you this time around putting together this video in terms of the whole process?
Up to now, I had made two types of video. One was with the each person chooses whatever they want to play along, and the other one was with specific arrangements of well-known songs by Chris. That was just with the Fish and then with Lucky 7. So this one was more in the format of the other ones. And the special thing was about being a decade since Chris passed away. So it was kind of symbolic for all of Chris's fans. And perhaps that's why we had an increase in number of participants, and that's why the 45 minutes came along. Also, we had new forms of contributing to Play for Chris other than play along. We had some also words for Chris, and we had very nice a cappella singing. Also to close the whole video, there was some poetry. So I guess each time is different from the previous one, but we try to keep things interesting and special. And of course, the 10th anniversary of Chris's passing was something that I think all of us had in mind.
Yeah, and in a way, it doesn't feel like 10 years, but it also sometimes feels like more than that. It's just, Chris was such a huge part of Yes, part of every lineup, and it's, it just hit everyone when he passed away. Even if he had only played with Yes for a few of their early years, that loss still really would have been felt regardless, because he was such an amazing player and he's just so talented. His bass playing is, it gets a lot of high praise in Prague circles. He's just way high up there.
There's several aspects of Chris's life and contribution with Yes, which are highly praised, as you mentioned. So we have the bass playing, we have also the vocal part, and I think the leadership that he always has shown, being kind of responsible for many of the personal changes, and also prioritizing the band, and instead of any solo project that he might have chosen to look for, and of course that I think also with his personality and more personal aspects that perhaps not everyone will be know him so much to to testify that, but the ones who had can testify that. And but basically, his character, the humor, and the just the image that he was to his fans, I think, make that he was really unforgettable. And these kind of 10 years are, it can look like yesterday, and it can look like if it's for ages, because we miss him so much.
Right, and you touch upon his leadership. I do remember in Chris Welsh's book, Close to the Edge, he, there was a quote from Rick, talking about the going for the one days, and at first Rick was sort of a session musician and instead of full on coming back, and there was a bit where Rick Wakeman says something along the lines of, people don't really think too much about how good of a leader Chris is, and he was instrumental in getting Rick back in the band. We've heard Brian Lane was involved in that as well, but yeah, Chris was part of those decisions. And and you also mentioned how he prioritized Yes over his solo stuff. We had Fish Out of Water, and then in the 90s it took a bit for him to get on with another solo thing that was in the works. They did that Chris Squire experiment tour, and then it eventually morphed into Conspiracy, so more of a duo thing. It still sounded really cool. And then later on, Swiss Choir, and then a collaboration with Steve Hackett. So
those happened in times that either all the members agreed that it was time for a break, or it was really in a period that the band wasn't happening because again of those personnel ever-changing moves, but never in a way that never in a way that he would make that a priority if Yes was one of the choices.
Yeah, because Swiss Choir was during the hiatus, and for the Squacket thing, I think that might have been like during breaks between touring as well. I'd have to like do research on that too, but yeah, he just had really good output.
It's funny because that should have taken quite a lot to to develop to the final stages, because it was something that was talked about even like in 2009 or 10. There was already that kind of gossip. And I remember that Steve Hackett was playing at the time in Portugal in a festival. And at the time, I asked him, so how is it going, this project? He was signing the CDs, and I had the guts to ask him, so how is the project with Chris going? And he said, well, I don't see him for a while. And I said, okay, maybe it will take some time. And then it was just in 2012, so a few years later. So I think that was something always that, in spite of the band being active, it was always in a certain priority that it wouldn't disturb. And I think also for Steve in his projects, of course, it's something that they had to balance between their schedules.
Right, exactly. So we have a few excerpts from the Play for Chris 11 video. Folks, if you haven't seen the whole thing, go watch the whole thing. We're only like skimming the surface, tip of the iceberg here, but we're showing a few excerpts that we can show. So here's one of Silently Falling. So check this out.
Silently
is Ariel from Buenos Aires, Argentina,
Yeah.
and amongst those,
As you see, sorry, Stephen.
no, go ahead.
Um, each of the videos, for those who didn't watch yet, some editions, each of the participants will throw in a dedication text that goes along the footer of the video. So and what I wanted to say is that, you know, when you read those comments, you really feel that thing that we were talking about, how it feels to you know, to be missing the character of Chris, and some of the comments there are very beautiful and very emotional, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say out of those 75, 76 solo albums, I see whenever people talk about those solo albums, people maybe most, or maybe close to most, would say Fish Out of Water is their favorite. And that's a huge testament. You know, it's very cool that it's
Yeah,
ranked so high for people. Would you
I think
say that there's some sort of Fish Out of Water submission every year or most years, or how would you say it is?
I would say that I would say that most certainly there was more than one per year. For example, this year you also had Simon Gilman did a MIDI transcription of the same song of Silently Falling. Was it Silently Falling? No, it was from Safe Canon song.
Yeah.
With that instrumental part with the violins and and I remember that, you know, I think all the songs were already covered. Um, I'm not sure if "You by My Side" was, but you know, but I think in every edition we have something from Fish Out of Water, and as you will show later, we have also contributions from the Conspiracy, from you will not show that one, but there was one, for example, from the Sin, from the Indestructible album. So many fans who want to bring to the Play for Chris editions something a little bit out of the ordinary. Not that we will consider the other ones ordinary, but not the hits, not always like the close to the edge ones, or the you know, the Tempus Fugit ones, but they like to bring something that shows that they already appreciate the less known work of Chris, and that they really give value to everything that Chris was contributing to.
Right, because these aren't just, you know, Roundabout and I've Seen All Good People and Owner of Only Heart or anything like that. They go through the Yes catalog, all these different nooks and crannies, or even some of the better known ones. And even when it is a better known one, it's still a different person, different interpretation. You know, you get to see how they play it. Sometimes they try to play it exactly, or they might have a twist on it. And either way, it just shows how devoted they are as fans and how much they appreciate the music.
Yeah, I wish Dan was here to speak now about his own contribution, but we can also
Right.
talk about that. It was like a mix of the many songs from the Tormato tour in 1978. So it's condensed in under 90 or around 90 seconds. You know, a vast selection of songs from that concert, of course, on drums. So and that's that. Here's where I also remind that there's also a chance to make homage also to Alan White and Peter Banks. So in this case, Dan also wanted to pay tribute not only to Chris's music but also to Alan White's drumming. So yeah, that's part of the creativity of all the contributions that appear in the various editions of Play for Chris. This was the 11th one.
Right. Well, since you mentioned it, let's go ahead and show Dan's little medley here. Different bits of songs from the Tornado Tour show. So check this out, folks. You know what that reminds me of? The late Virgil Howe, how he put together that Yes Remixes album over 20 years ago. I think there was a track on there that might have had like bits and pieces from different Yes songs. So this kind of reminds me of that in a way.
Yeah, it's a way of sometimes I would think, just to, like those brain games, how could I go from one song to the other with cutting small pieces of the songs, and that's what Dan did to make one song goes to the other, and to be able to drum it at the same time. It was quite an achievement, and it sounded very nice.
Yeah. I mean, even with how busy like his schedule and all the things he has to do, is like he still decides to make time to challenge himself with that. So that's incredible that he was able to do it in the end.
Yeah, and from the previous one, in which was already a large number of songs that Dan was playing in a very short time. Now I think he managed to put even more. So let's wait for Play for Chris 12 and see what's what's the next step. Maybe I will have to increase the time for each.
Because I think in a previous Play for Chris, he tried playing something from almost every Yes album, and so I don't know if he's gonna try to do something complex again next time he can do it, but he could. I mean, I don't know, people could just play along to a song they really love, but if he wants to, like,
most of the contributions are just play along to to songs. We are not playing them now because of the copyright things, but everyone who wants to participate, and I'm already making like advertising for next year, which I hope that we will do again. It's just playing along with your instrument, which it's not necessarily a bass guitar. It can be drums, can be singing, can be guitar, can be keyboards, whatever, and just select your song and just play along a little bit with it, and then send me, along with the dedication that every video has so I can put it in the footer, and then we can all see the video and read each dedication, and that's how it's worked for the past years.
Right. Well, this next one that I'll go ahead and play incorporates bits of Into the Lens and The Fish. So let's take a look at this.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. When I first watched that part of a video, it sounds very Fish-esque right away, but I also thought to myself, which song is this from? I remember this as part of a song, and it's because of all the different instrumentation that goes on in Yes songs, it can be a different experience trying to figure out what this one bit from this one instrument, like which song it is. And so once to figure that out, it's like, oh, okay, that's really cool and creative. Yeah.
In fact that's something that I just realized a little bit later, that in fact Chris was quoting The Fish inside Into the Lens, and it's the effect is different because it's making it with also with Jeff Downes making the same thing in the electric piano. I think it's a piano anyway, and it's doubling the bass line with the piano. But in fact, it's like if it was that run from The Fish, but in a different context. It's really smart, and one of those things that Chris left us to enjoy. And of course, this interpretation of Toro is really acknowledging the both pieces in one, and making a special arrangement that uses material from both, but in fact it's just one.
Yeah, you could even title it something like Fish Eye Lens. I just thought of that right now.
He baptized it in if you read the footer notes, it's like the Chandelier Prematurus Into the Lens.
Yeah. So this, let's see, what else do we have? Let's go ahead and play a bit of And You and I. So check this out, folks. As we were listening to that, I was thinking about how, our friends over at Yes Music podcast, they've occasionally mentioned how in the live versions of And You and I, we got so used to Chris playing the harmonica for that little bit further into the song. And so I don't know if anyone has tried this for Play for Chris yet, but maybe I'll throw this idea out there for anyone who wants to try it. But has anyone ever tried playing all of And You and I, or a huge chunk of And You and I, just on the harmonica?
I don't think we had any harmonica players yet. So I think that could be a really good opportunity for the next one.
Yeah.
For sure. It's one of those things that I especially remember from seeing Chris playing at the, well, really, they played that in I think in all of the occasions that Chris played this song live, because And You and I is in, I think, in all tours, but especially the symphonic one. I don't know why. I always remember the symphonic one, maybe because there's also a video from it, but I saw it in where was it, in Brighton, and then it was in London. So great memories from that one.
Yeah.
And of course, yeah, if you're watching and you can play the harmonica, you can be a star on the next one from
Exactly.
from Chris. Yeah, for Play for Chris 12, we are looking for harmonica players.
Yeah. Watch, now you'll get like 10 harmonica players doing different songs. So
Yeah,
that'd be quite
I
interesting.
cannot play anything harmonica, but I trust Chris's fans that next time we'll have a harmonica one.
Right. And this next one, I think you already mentioned earlier, it was from Conspiracy, Violet Purple Rose. So let's go ahead and take a look at this one.
It's one of my favorites from that album, and also because it was really the maybe the one that was new, that we still hadn't heard before. Because the from the bootlegs from the Chris Squire experiment, we already knew some of the other songs, like Lonesome Trail and Wish I Knew. There's also one very like quirky one, which is no rhyme, which it comes afterwards. It's number 4 and number 5, which I also like very much. But this one was like the proggier one, and very very colorful, because it goes from all these colors that you almost see painted as we are listening to the song. I really enjoyed the vocals by Billy Sherwood, and this one also shows that we had a beginner bassist playing that one, Dave Jana, and to show that you if you really want to enter Play for Chris, you don't have to be any virtuoso, or you can play your instrument at any level. And if you are a beginner, so the really important thing is to join the video. And if you really want to express your feelings for Chris, and to play whatever you want in which instrument you want, so you are very welcome. And of course, that for me it's very important to receive such a variety of, not only of songs, but also the levels of playing that are not necessarily just for the pros, because everyone has the right to enter. And I was very happy about more inexperienced players to join.
Yeah, and again, it shows that even all these years after his passing, he's still inspiring people to begin playing the bass. So that's really good to see.
Yeah, we had also a very young, I don't know his age, but the Oliver, which was playing Harold Land. He said he was started playing in 2023, which for us is like yesterday. And
Yeah.
but seeing him playing Harold Land with such passion, and just confirming that Chris is still a very strong inspiration, no matter how old are you, and where do you come from, but it's always a very strong, I think very strong and positive force in inspiring people playing bass. At
Yeah, and
least.
Harold Land is such a deep cut from Yes's debut album. Was this the first time anyone had tried that for Play for Chris?
Yes, I think so. And in fact, I was so I was so even I was inspired to make my own go at, because I hadn't made yet a cover video of that, or even to make a short series of the Guess the Baseline, which is something that I sometimes do.
Yeah.
Something. So I really was happy to see that song to appear in the spotlight by the initiative of other persons, to inspire me also to pay more attention to that one. Not that I don't like the song, but it's one that can easily be forgotten in the in the presence of other songs of the same album.
Yeah, and there was also another one from that debut album, Beyond and Before, the first track from there. And that's a neat one because right away it gives you the idea of the vocal harmonies that would be such a huge part of Yes.
Yeah, that's Woody Cross, and he I think Woody also did one from the Sin in the previous edition. So I think he also went for something more unknown. And of course, Beyond and Before it's very symbolic also, because it's the first song from the first album. And yeah, that's the one of the first songs in which Chris's vocal harmonies, along with John and Peter, really shine. And in a slightly early configuration, because back then Chris was very into the falsetto part of the harmonies. He had lots of falsettos, and but that's the way that his first set of Yes Choir was made of. And also the Mabel Greer's Toy Shop version is very interesting to hear and see how it
Yeah, I've heard that
developed
one.
from there. because it was a song that was like recycled from the first from before John had joined. So definitely a great choice, and also one that I hadn't made yet. So
Right. And I was re-listening to that first album, I think about a month or so ago, and something that occurred to me was that it takes a couple tracks before we get to John being the lead singer. You know, you have Beyond and Before and I See You having those vocal harmonies being dominant, and then Yesterday and Today is where it's pretty much John. And that's interesting to think about given the trajectory and how much John became prominent as a lead singer in the band's discography.
yeah, the vocals really on the first album, they are very like you said, it's the choir as a unit, and it takes a couple of songs so that John has like a solo spot. And of course Harold Land also, he has a more isolated, without anyone making, well, at least not harmonizing continuously with him.
Right.
Also with Sweetness, of course, but I think it
Survival.
was
Yeah.
it was really conscious choice that they would be a very vocal harmony band, because there were such amazing influences at the time. And I think Bill Bruford talked about that in several interviews, like in the
Yeah.
Yes Years documentary, that he was going into a vocal group, that the vocals were really essential, like
Yeah.
like
Like
a big
Fifth
choir.
Dimension.
Yes, and the Beach Boys, and all the things that were happening at the time.
Right. And we have a few comments. Bill Dilworth on Facebook says, tuning in from Texas. Mark Ortiz de Candia is tuning in from San Francisco, California, USA, just so people don't confuse that with any other San Francisco. John C says, Hola, Miguel. And, oh, my mom also commented. She's saying hi. Hi, Mom. But yeah, what would you say was maybe the biggest surprise, like yes song submission, or I guess from other like Chris Squire stuff as well? Like, what were like the biggest surprises that when you were going through these?
Mhm. There were some surprises. In the strict meaning of the word surprise, there was once one which was, I think, from Union, and it was one played by 2011. I think Silent Talking. I think, but it was playing in Chris's style. So that was kind of an odd choice. And again, by I think the same person, um, he played something from Criminal Record. I
Oh
think
wow.
that's really, that's a high bet to go and get that one, because it's a record that it's not so well known, and it was really out of print for a lot of time, that you couldn't find it anywhere. Even I had to go and search, for some MP3s of the record, because I read somewhere that was played by Chris and Alan, and some 1 or 2 decades ago, that would be really hard to find. And I also discovered this record later, and I was really fascinated by what Chris and Alan did on that one. So it was one of my first surprises to be there and to be not to be there, but to receive the contribution from Etienne from France with a song from that album. And also the great story of this collaboration of Chris and Alan on Criminal Record is that Rick Wakeman, he deliberately didn't want to be present when Chris and Alan went to record it. So he left everything recorded and said, "Okay, now you go and you do what you want because I trust you." And it was only when everything was finished that that Rick Wakeman heard the final result, and he, of course, he was really very impressed, and then phoned to Chris and to thank him for what Chris and Alan had done to the record. I think that was one of the most surprising contributions that I received. But of course, I had also to talk about the ones from the Sin album, because I really enjoy Sin Destructible, and to go there and to to study and listen and appreciate what Chris did there. I think it's very worth revisiting if you are going to revisit the past versions of Play for Chris. Woody Cross, he did something on one of the tracks, and this one was also contemplated with another track, which was the first one, I think, Breaking Down Walls. Yes, I love that album. It has a lot of great bass playing and, of course, Chris's vocals. So I would pick that one. But there's so much in 11 editions that, of course, that I will forget many.
Yeah, you might revisit them and be like, "Oh yeah, they did that." That was
next time you send me the question, and I will go. I will go in advance to search for that.
Yeah, you'll like play them at double the speed so that it's not too much of a time.
Or maybe making a table with all the songs that were represented until now, because after 11 editions we have a couple of hundreds of songs. Well, maybe not hundreds, because some of them are repeated, but are hundreds of contributions and different instruments, different things. So
yeah. Do you think that anyone and before I ask this question, before I forget, John Costello comments Criminal Record is good. So yeah, check that out if you haven't heard it, folks. But do you think that anyone would maybe try playing a song outside of Yes, just another song that Chris has just never played on, but try to do it in the style of Chris? Like, what do you think of that possibility for future editions, if it ever it's something like that ever? Yeah,
it's a good question, because of course I in my usual announcement I say preferably it's something from Yes's or Chris's catalog, but
all right,
that's preferably. But if there's a reason for choosing a song that it's that I can understand that it's because of Chris, so I don't see any problem with that. Also, we have had original songs like Michael Shuto, and in this one he made a tribute song which is inspired in Chris's style, but it's his own composition. So it's like something that he made with a Rickenbacker bass, with some harmonics, with some inspiration of Chris's playing. So again, if it's something that I can understand that it's justified, that it's dedicated to Chris. So it can be any song, in the same way that it can be any instrument, or even without instruments. So yeah,
Right.
I can I can understand that that might be possible.
Right on. And there are also a couple late 90s Yes songs that were included in this most recent edition. New Language from the Ladder was one of them. Such an incredible composition.
Also,
And
Footprints.
yeah, I think I was even more surprised by Footprints because I don't see as many people talking about it online. But when you think back to that song, like, yeah, the bass is pretty prominent on that one. Footprints from Keys to Ascension too.
Yeah, I think it's um, I think it's wonderful that people go to all of the catalog, including the 90s. For me, the 90s, they have this heroic, almost, part of it, because the 90s was, I think, when prog rock and Yes and bands like Yes were the least popular. And I think it was like, I speak for what I was going through, but the kind of style, like, it was not very popular, and of course, even Yes had some effects of not being so strong, so popular, because of the song. The style itself wasn't so welcome. I think from the 2000s, suddenly there was a kind of comeback of proggy stuff, and now it's almost, we can say it's almost trendy again. But the 90s stuff was kind of a difficult times
Mm.
in the commercial aspect for bands such as Yes and others, and and these albums, they deserve a lot of love from the fans. Um, I especially love Open Your Eyes, which is one that even from Yes fans get a lot of negative input, but that's one of my favorite albums for sure from the 90s. And the Footprints one is something that started for me in the old Starlix video, where Chris was demonstrating that he could play like meters, odd time meters, in the same way that it should sound as natural as if it was like a kind of regular meter. That was, and he said, "Oh, I just came up with this blues riff," and that at the time it was just a blues riff that he called, but it was like in 5/4. So that middle section of Footprints is the recycling of that little blues riff that Chris is playing on that video, on that old video from 1990. So that's one of the songs that I really enjoy, and especially for that little riff that he saved from, we don't know exactly from when, but in
Yeah.
1990 he already had it. Also, New Languages and the Ladder album, of course. The Ladder is also a very important time for in my relationship with Yes, because I also saw the tour, and maybe it was the tour that I saw most concerts. I saw like two concerts here because they came here in Portugal. I saw both concerts in Lisbon and Porto, and then they played at the Royal Albert Hall in London, and I was there as well. So I don't know how many concerts were there, but I was in all of them. Maybe one, maybe two. I don't remember. So yeah, good memories also from the latter album.
Nice. I'll have to check out that Starlix video. I don't remember if I've ever watched it in full, but Yeah, like Chris, I mean, another example, that little bit of I'm running that was from the drama sessions. He kept that, and then several years later used it for the Big Generator album. So these guys in Yes, they keep these ideas tucked in their archives and whatnot. And I mean,
Yeah,
Steve Howe with his homebrew stuff, you see that he'll save some of them for a while and maybe even decades. So yeah, it's like that saying, never throw out an idea because it could be used for something later on in a more complete fashion.
yeah. I remember, especially with when Steve Howe released Turbulence, that I was listening to Turbulence, and then I there was some parts that already had appeared in Union,
Yeah, like
and I
silent
was, wow,
talking, give
what's yeah,
give and
and
take.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure. So I think maybe Chris didn't have this kind of method of recording everything, but definitely he remembers things that maybe come from from way back, and then suddenly it's a new Yes song. So yeah,
Yeah, I think Oliver Wakeman has even told a story about how Chris would be like, "Well, we play like this," and it's like something he remembered from a while ago. I'll have to like look for that story again, but yeah, it's really cool stuff. Um,
it's a
so
good.
that
I think musical memory. I think it's.
yeah,
I think Chris was so. There was so much music that I think probably he kept lots of ideas just by memory.
yeah, definitely. So this last clip we'll play is my contribution. So I don't play any instruments, but I do kind of dabble in singing now and then. So I did this like a cappella thing with the song "You Can Be Saved," which is one of the bonus tracks on Tormato, and Chris has a writing credit on that track. So we'll play this, I guess, talk a little bit more and whatnot. So check this out. Dreaming and dreaming all over again. I hear this line of poetry. Will I be free? Yes, when you know it. Can I be me? If you can show it. Lost touch, now the feelings revealing something more. Whatever you've come round here for, you can be saved. Time and time all over again, you take this line of questioning, will I be free? Yes, when you're flowing, can I be me? If you don't blow it, love's touch will inspire you to open up the door. These words are certainly sure. You can be saved. Dreaming and dreaming all over, and then follow the light of heritage. Love is the tree, steadily growing, sailing the sea, steadily rowing. In touch with the feeling, believing is the key. Whatever you think you can be, you can be saved. Yeah, you chose amazing photos for Chris there, Miguel.
Well, you were not so bad yourself. Very nice.
Right. So
Thanks.
when I was putting this together, I did a few takes, and something I was trying to do was maybe try the vocal harmonies, put like 3 different tracks of me
Mhm.
singing it together, but I couldn't get them to align correctly. And I thought to myself, all right, you know what? It's gonna sound better if it's just one of me trying it. Like, we can't all be John Anderson doing the "We Have Heaven" and Eliza Sunhillo method.
Sure, sure.
Um,
Well,
and
I
yeah,
also have to include your contribution on, in the most original and surprising, because that was really a great idea. And it's, as you said, it was like a leftover from the presumably the Tormato sessions, but it's the one that we can sense that it would give a really great end result when properly produced and recorded. But of course, that onward being probably something alike was, competing with the same space, and then it wouldn't just fit in the space of one LP. But again, that also made me go back to the song and really enjoy it even more. And so thanks to you.
thanks. Yeah, it's like I mentioned in the text, it's such a hidden gem, and um, I loved it so much to the point of wanting to memorize the lyrics, and that's a mark of a good song in my book.
Yeah, yeah. And the lyrics, of course, they have definitely Chris's style. The harmonies are very beautiful. It's almost like we cannot distinguish which one is the lead, because they are really very intertwined, and sounding very very, actually very well um, sung. And just, the instrumental could use more production, and or more rehearsal and more things to develop, as any song in the album was well developed, or almost. But even possibly, even because it sounds so unfinished, and when you hear the lyrics, and you can also like kind of imagine the intention of the song in a very early stage, and I think there's also a beauty in that.
Yeah, and occasionally I've thought of, what if Tormato didn't have the restrictions of vinyl length, and I would try to imagine what would the track list be if it included these outtake songs. And I think at one point thought that maybe You Can Be Saved could like come after Circus of Heaven and before Onward, and kind of be a nice little section of the album there. But yeah, like, Chris has worked on a lot of great stuff, and people can like revisit the all of it, even stuff that they might not be aware of or maybe haven't listened to in a while. Yeah.
I was just remembering something that maybe could be a possible answer to what you are saying, is that it was supposed to be a double album.
Oh yeah, I think I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it should be like something called the 11th Illusion.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the collection of songs would be extended to another one. So who knows, possibly that could be from the second part that never happened, and then it could fit into another composition. So yeah, it could be also be the closing one, instead of closing with the Silent Wings of Freedom, and have just one more, just to relax, if we were considering just the the
Yeah.
one, could be a nice song to close.
Yeah,
But
kind of like a Holy Lamb type of situation.
yes, I was thinking about, usually the Yes albums, especially in the 80s and 90s and onwards, they all have the closing quiet song, which well, it's more just like a John Anderson solo song, but in this case it wouldn't be. It would be a more a Chris Squire solo song. Maybe
Yeah.
they would agree. Who knows?
Yeah, I know that Dad prefers for albums to end with something bombastic to be like a concert, but I feel like with an album, since an album is not the concert, you could get away with ending with a quieter song, whereas for a concert,
Yeah,
totally understand ending a concert with something
it's a different
bigger.
philosophy, of course. Yes, and because the concert usually ends with the big hit, because
Yeah.
you have to keep the audience waiting for the, oh, play that one, play that one.
Yeah,
No,
play
no, not yet,
roundabout.
not yet, not yet. We have to come back, and you have to shout, and then we come back and we play. So it's different, and the big hit in the albums, it comes first in either of one side, and most definitely it's more possible that comes in the first side, and also because of the sound quality of the beginning of either side being better than the end of the, because of vinyl format, you always have more clarity of sound in the beginning of the, because of the velocity of the needle. I don't know to say this in English, but trust me, it's different.
So yeah,
uh,
I get what you're saying.
you
Yeah.
know, you are also a vinyl collector, but so it wouldn't be a problem if it was like a chill out kind of piece closing the after Silent Wings of Freedom. And really, I do get the feeling that, when we get to the end of Silent Wings of Freedom, it ends so abruptly, and then okay,
I
is
can
it
kind of see that
yeah,
now
is
that
it
you
the end
mention
of
it.
the album?
Yeah.
We don't have the, the something to tell us, okay, now we are approaching the end, and then,
Yeah, it
well,
just
who
sort
knows?
of escalates and then ends. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's great because of that. It's like unexpected, but of course now we are thinking, we are doing kind of just a exercise of,
Yeah, what if
yeah,
scenario.
it's
Yeah.
a what if. Yeah.
um, Lindsay McDonald says, I love Silent Wings of Freedom. And see, this Claudia is also tuning in, saying guitar. So I guess to close things out, for next year, Play for Chris 12, do you think there will be some sort of different theme, or will it basically be, just submit anything like a tribute to Chris, or
Mhm.
what do you expect?
I'm open to suggestions, and the main thing is that we will be together again anyway.
Yeah.
And of course, also that depends a little bit on, you know time, and how can I handle the contributions, if I have more time to make something more, more specific, or if it will be just, the regular format. But even within the regular format, there can be some options that we can take. The type of songs, specifically for one album, I don't know, for one era from the 90s, from the 80s. um, that's that's something that I am open to suggestions, having always in mind that it's important to keep the possibilities open for everyone to join. So if we are going to do something very specific, maybe some people want to join, but they maybe they feel they cannot be so specific in replying to a certain amount of rules. That was the case when we did the big arrangements, because it was like, you have to play this part, you have to play this part, and so that not always, but most of the time, can be a little bit limiting for some people who want to participate. So, but anyway, if you have any things to suggest for my future editions, you can reach me, on social networks, on Facebook, on Instagram. I also have TikTok, but although I sometimes I forget to go there, but and my site, which is miguelbass.com. There you can also contact me via a message or emailing to miguelbass.com. And for anything also, I want to hear your suggestions, and they are welcome.
Right on. Well, thanks for joining me once again, Miguel, here on Yesshift. And folks, you can follow the show at Yesshift on Facebook and YouTube, or go to a podcast app, type in Yesshift, see if we're there. And you can also follow Drum Talk TV, whether you're a drummer or a music fan. And I'll be back on here tomorrow talking about my drama LP. And I see another comment from John Costello, who says Minnesota State Fair began this week, and I always listen to Circus of Heaven. Okay, nice. All right, so thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll see you all soon.
Thanks, Stephen.